welcome to Mind Your Business, a channel where we are in everybody's business. If you don't mind getting in people's business, you're on the right channel. Talking about current topics and gossip. So the commitment ceremony was definitely given drama filled, as we would expect. And my opinion on Jack has not changed. He is still a twat. In fact, he has been upgraded to full-on dickhead. So let's talk about it. Well, guys, people, let's talk about Married at First Sight Australia. So yes, we had a commitment ceremony this week. It was the third one. And it was definitely interesting. Obviously, it's come on the back of the dinner party, which we saw Jack get really out of order with Lauren. You can see that the couples are discussing what happened, before they get to commitment ceremony. But what I thought was interesting was Jack, because he himself said on camera that he felt good saying those words, muzzle your woman. He said that he felt good about it, and he didn't care about that. He didn't care if he upset anybody. Basically, he felt good about it. He felt good saying it. Remember, he says that, and he blamed Jono in his little confessional. So I thought that was really interesting. This is how we know that Jack is absolutely full of crap, Anyway, of course, we see Lauren, and she's obviously vexed about being hung out to dry. So I was so glad that during the commitment ceremony that John, who is one of my favourite experts on the panel, definitely called out the bullshit. And I was definitely here for it. Firstly, let's talk about Lucinda and Tim before we get back to Jack. So Lucinda and Tim, I thought they were interesting because I've been saying that I like Lucinda. She's quite a sweet character. I feel like she deserves happiness. But Tim, to me, he has his own demons that are getting in his way, which is making him act the way he acts. But I thought it was interesting because when they came up, they were saying they've been getting on very well. But of course, Lucinda's expressing that she doesn't feel very desired and that it's more of a friendship. They're focusing on fun and friendship. It's not like there's no romance there. So, of course, Alexandra calls him out and says, well, what's going on with your slow progress? Tim is trying to say, oh, well, it's the last few days have been fun. And then, Alexandra's pushing it again and saying, well, do you want to hold hands with her? Do you want to kiss her? Do you want to get closer with her? And he doesn't really want to do that. So, to me, Lucinda should just stay away from Tim and stop wasting her time because I feel like he's taking mickey out of her and she's a nice woman who's come in for genuine connection. I thought it was interesting that the experts were saying, well, you've both written stay, but there's no spark. And you can see that they're really angling it at Timothy because why is he acting like this, What I thought was interesting was Lucinda felt like, she agrees, like what is happening. She agreed with what Alexandra said about, the fact that he's not really falling for her. Is there any inclination into romance? And then I thought it was really cheeky because Tim decides to switch on her and starts getting upset with Lucinda, saying, no, you're throwing me under the bus. But actually, she has her own feelings and she's got to be able to say what she has to say. And I thought it was interesting that Jaden piped up and was saying, it is a marriage, you've got to really basically, put in that effort. And that advice was rejected by Tim. He was just basically quite rude and was like, I don't want to hear from you, mate. Do you know what I mean? But obviously, Jaden's in a happy relationship. So he's trying to share that, you've got to put some effort in. Like, you can't be in a friendship mode, because they are like 5 weeks in. So I'm just like, please, just set her free, Lord. Set her free because he's doing way too much at this point. I love that John interjected and just told him, basically, you need to fix up, basically. Don't want to hear any more of what you've got to say. You're actually getting your own way and you're actually wasting everyone's time. So he basically told him that, you're chained to your hurt from your past. You've got to let that go to make things work with her. And so I thought it was really interesting. And I thought, yes, John, please. I'm glad that he told him that. You could tell Tim didn't look too happy about that. But I was happy for Lucinda because I'm just like, let the woman go. Release her. Let her go off. Be a little butterfly and find somebody else because this is not given for me. Anyway, what I thought was really cheeky is when they went to go and sit back down, Lucinda, being a caring person, asks Tim, are you okay? And he was just absolutely rude. He just says, don't talk to me. And I thought, oh my God, like, you're just out of order. And I love that John caught it and he called him out again and was like, if you're going to stonewall her, you're not going to get anywhere. So I just thought, yeah, this is interesting. And I feel like free Lucinda, please, and thanks. Now, everybody else, all the other ones were getting on well. So you're Eden and Jaden, they're getting on well. Sarah and Tim doing much better this week. She said that she's been explaining to him that she's a bit of a fiery Latina. So sometimes when she's saying things, she's just saying it. She's not yelling at him. So they seem like they're in a happier space, which is good to see. Newbies, Jade and Ridge, they are all quite loved up at the moment and liking each other so far. So that is all good. Tristan and Cassandra. Now, Tristan, it turns out he's been quite distant. and was saying that he thinks that they might be better off as friends. And we know that Cassandra feels there's a lot of potential there. So she feels like they were making some progress. But then, you know, when she woke up that morning, he had kind of taken a step back. I thought it was really interesting that Cass put stay and then Tristan chose to put leave. And then I felt so bad for Cass because you could see that it really hurt her feelings. She kind of broke down crying. I can see that she's been trying with him. And I feel like she's been really patient. So I felt like that must have really hurt her because she must have felt quite rejected. And she seems like such a sweet girl. Mel was also really good in this episode because I feel like she was definitely holding people accountable. So Mel said to Tristan, you know, are you getting in your own way? And then we got to the point that, you know, he admitted that he is getting his own way, and Cassandra reassured him and said that she does fancy him, and he basically said that he feels like he made a mistake now and he was just in his negative mode. So I really like those two as a couple. I feel like Tristan can be a bit of hard work for Cassandra, and I feel like it maybe was taking its toll on her, which is why she kind of cried and was like, you know, it's all going good. And she actually really does like him, and I feel like he does like her, and I do want them to do well. I am kind of rooting for them, but in a healthy way. I want them to be healthy. So yeah, I just thought, Tristan, yeah, don't get in your own way. But yeah, I thought those two are cute. But yeah, I just want them to be healthy and happy. Michael and Stephen, they're getting on good as well. I thought it was good that Stephen opened up about feeling kind of second best, and that John was able to kind of reassure him and let him know that actually that's not how it was. You know, it wasn't a case of being second best. It was, you know, them trying to find someone who's better for him. So I feel like that kind of allayed some of his fears or some of his concerns. Now, Ellie and Ben, I was like, well, go Ellie. It's about time the blinkers came off, because Ellie came up there and said, well, actually, I don't feel like Ben is being very authentic. You know, I feel like he's trying to control the narrative, and she feels like she's losing her voice and losing herself being with him. So I thought, good girl, because the display we've seen of him so far is giving very much fake and phony. I feel like he's there to be an opportunist, like he's got his own little hidden agendas there. I just don't buy it. And it was really interesting because, you know, Ben was saying, oh, he's hurt, it's a facade. And even him saying it was hurt, it's a facade, that felt fake. So I was just like, oh my God. So John was just basically saying, is it true? And then he starts talking around the houses. I was like, honestly, Ben, you're talking rubbish. What is going on here? I'm confused. And so it had me cracking up when John says, I don't understand what you're saying. Is it true or not? I was like, John is not coming here to play today. And I love it. I love it. So Ben decided that he wanted to stay. Ellie decided that she wants to leave. Obviously, they're staying together. But John tells Ben he just needs to fix up, basically. Stop trying to control the narrative and start actually being yourself. And I thought to myself, go on, Ellie. Well done, girl, because I'm glad that you're seeing him for who he is and you're not just sitting there putting up the bullshit like Tori, which we'll get to shortly. Next up, we had Andrea and Richard. Now, I do like these two. I think they're such a cute couple, but Andrea did actually say that she's not been feeling as comfortable now because she felt like she put her walls up after the last commitment ceremony when Richard was quite, you know, open, a bit too open about what he was saying about them being, you know, sexually active and how often they were doing it. She said she felt quite disrespected in that moment and it burst her bubble. So I thought that was really interesting. And I do want them to get back on track. Richard did say that, you know, obviously he didn't mean to disrespect her, and, you know, he was saying that they started off really passionate and fireworks and now he feels a bit rejected. And he's a bit gutted about that as well. So she does want to get back on it. And I thought it was interesting because Mel pointed out that, you know, do you feel like this is a trigger of maybe a previous relationship where you were disrespected? And Andrea did say, yeah, absolutely. But she could definitely identify that Richard is a completely different guy and how he's such a nice, kind person. And she was giving him quite like a lot of compliments. And then he began to get quite emotional because he said that he's not used to hearing that people say that about him. So I thought that was really interesting. I do hope that they do get back on a good footing. I think it's unfortunate that they've kind of fallen off. I get it because it sounds like whatever he said, because obviously they bleeped it out for us when we watched it, but I'm assuming it was a bit more vulgar, so it threw her off. But I hope they can get back on track because I feel like they're quite a cute couple. Now, Madeline and Ash, I feel so sorry for Ash. Like, what the hell is going on? I feel so sorry for him because he's started filling the experts in all the madness that he's been dealing with, you know, from the nice meal to the crying because of seeing the cows when they went for the walk next day, and the issues around trying to connect and her then hearing voices. And, you know, it's been a difficult one for Ash, as we've seen. So I just felt so bad for him. So he's basically trying to, reach out for some advice, some help from the experts. Everyone around the room was just looking like, wow, hearing the stories, like, is this for real? And I thought it was interesting because he actually put stay and she put leave. I'm like, oh, you're saying you want love and you want all this stuff, but you're saying you want to leave after a week? Like, what is going on? It's your first week, isn't it? Even the experts were confused. They were like, well, you want to leave, but you say you want love. Like, what's going on? So in the end, Mel just said, you know what, if you're both going to stay, how about you just, start off fresh, ignore all the other stuff, start off fresh and see how you guys can get on. Poor Ash was just like, yeah, fine, it can't get any worse, can it? I'm just like, I'm not that hopeful for you. Ash just looks like he's permanently shocked at what's going on with her. And Madeline just seems like she's in her own world and, finding excuses about it being a weird world. And it's just like, yeah, the world can be weird, but, you can still make it what you want to make it. But yeah, good luck to those two. Johnathan and Lauren now. I thought it was really good that John definitely pulled up Jono on his really poor behaviour and for not backing Lauren. And I loved it. And so did Lauren. Lauren was sitting there smirking the whole time when John was definitely, letting Johnathan have it. And Johnathan did admit that he wasn't there for her. But then he turns around and he apologises to Jack for miscommunication. I said, oh, what a Ross. What is wrong with this idiot? I'm like, no, you're not sitting there apologising to the dickhead who told you to put muzzle on your woman. Like, are you for real? Are you for real? The experts' faces were cracking me up. Mel looked like she was shocked. She wanted to fly over and give him a slap herself. John's just looking at them in disgust, like, what the hell is going on? So John, of course, asked him, why did you feel the need to apologise to Jack? And whilst he's explaining himself, he's somewhat blaming Lauren. He's like, well, I did tell Lauren and she went and I didn't know it was going to go down like that. It's like, no, you look like such a damn punk over here talking nonsense about your wife who was actually looking out for somebody else who's being treated quite badly or was being spoken about quite badly. Whilst this is happening, you've got Jack sitting next to Tori on the couch, looking all smug like he does because, he's such a prick. I can't stand this guy now. I'm just like, honestly, what kind of person behaves like this? He, to me, is giving very much narcissistic traits. He just seems like he's very much a control freak, but we'll get there. Lauren basically gets in a bit of back and forth with Jack because she says that, what she said was right and Jack's chatting rubbish from the sidelines, talking about, that's not what I said. And Jono is still mumbling and stumbling over what was said. And it's just like, you told her these things. So you fed her those words. Now, John asks Johnathan, who is more important to him? Is it Jack or is it Lauren? And he says Lauren. But of course, John calls him on it and says, well, I don't buy that because if that was the case, you wouldn't have hung her out to dry, essentially. You would have had her back. There's no way. Then he brings up the whole, what did he say? What was it? He was appalled by what Jack said, and what was it that he said? You've got Jono sitting there talking about, my memory's a bit hazy. No, you can remember. So Lauren definitely remembered and and said what it was about, muzzle your woman. And I love that John, the expert, was just having up Johnathan. Because I'm just like, that's right. Like, what inference does muzzle mean? Jono is saying it's a dog, so he knows what it means. And John asks how Lauren felt about that, and she obviously said that she felt really degraded, and that he chose a friendship over her, which is true. And I feel like John made that point. He definitely chose the friendship over her. John was trying to say no, that's not true. But no, I love that. Basically, John basically had him up and just said, no, that's not how it goes. There's no way I'd let a man talk to my wife like that. And you just sat there and folded. You didn't defend her. You didn't do anything. And then I also love that he flipped it and said to the rest of the guys, like, guys, all you men that were there, why did none of you stand up for her? Like, and I agree. I thought it was disgusting. Like, none of them thought to themselves, that's not okay. Let's interject. Let's stop that. None of them. It's just like, what kind of punky, spineless guys are in here? Like, sort it out. And then you've got that idiot Ben piping up. He just should have just stayed quiet, because he was like, oh, well, I heard something, but couldn't get the context. Alexandra was like, well, you need context for hearing someone being told that they should put a muzzle on their woman. He's like, oh, decibels, the context. It's just like, Ben, just shut up, because you're not helping. You're not helping yourself. You're making yourself look ridiculous. Just sit this one out. But yeah, I love that John told them all that they're all complicit in the behaviour, and it's disgusting behaviour, and that they should call it out. So I thought, well done to him for saying that. And it was a nice one for Lauren as well, so she could be validated, because what she was getting was bullshit. And Jono should have definitely defended her. He just looked like completely a weak, cowardly man who's scared of Jack, is what it came across as, which was really sad to watch, you know. And speaking of Jack, you know, the big time manipulator, he is such a dickhead. It's unbelievable. And then you've got Tori, who's just sitting there being manipulated. Like, she is fully delulu at this point, because they come up next. So Tori and Jack. So John, he cut straight to the point. It's like, you know, it's the worst. This is one of the worst things he's ever heard. You know, he's never heard anyone tell someone to put a muzzle on their woman. Mel also definitely wasn't here for that as well, and let that be know that she's never heard anything like that in her life, and it's just quite disgusting. Then you've got Jack, who is a complete actor, because don't forget, he's already said that he felt good saying muzzle your woman. He is now saying, oh yeah, I feel ashamed, yeah, I apologise. Lies. I don't believe you. Don't believe you. Don't believe you. We don't believe you. You need more people. No, it's not happening. I don't believe you. Don't believe you. He's saying, yes, he's ashamed, and, you know, like I said, I don't believe him, and he's lost sleep. I'm just listening to him, just thinking, I don't believe you, you flipping dickhead. Just stop. Anyway, Mel lets him know that it was quite derogatory comments about women, and why he would go to saying that in his moment of anger. So she's basically trying to show and point out to Tori that this guy has loads of red flags, because if this is how he responds in anger, how do you think he's going to handle you? And look at his attitude and his behaviour towards women. But Tori, of course, being the pleb that she is, she's like, well, actually, I don't agree. You know, I just feel like he was angry. You know, it was heightened anger, and it's what excuses. I love that, you know, Mel was just like, no, it seems like it came pretty natural to me. It seemed like quite a natural snap that he had. He's trying to say that he snapped. He wouldn't have said anything like that before, and that his family wouldn't be happy with him. But all while saying this, he's very unconvincing. I'm just not convinced, particularly because he was sitting there looking smug the whole time, and he's already said on camera that he was quite happy that he said what he said. Mel, I feel like, was trying to get Tori to wake up without actually saying, look, girl, wake the F up. You're with a complete clown. Without doing that, she was trying to give her the seeds by saying, you know, don't you think this is something that you should be looking at? Like, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about him saying that he's not attracted to you and going to other people saying these things? Well, he didn't say that. And then he's going back and forth trying to say, I didn't say this, I didn't say that. That would have been the time for Alexandra to step up and say, actually, he did say that you're not sexually attracted to her, because he said it in her session. So I don't know why she didn't pull him on that. Alexandra did say, well, you're playing with words, Jack, you know, and Jack's in the hot seat, you know, squirming, trying to avoid all the questions, trying to dodge around, well, there's attractive, but then there is this, the sexually attractive, it is very different. It's just like, just shut the hell up. You're a clown. You're out here playing games, and it's not funny. And I feel like he's just on here for clout, because what else are you on here for? And to show that you can be a controlling dickhead. Like, I don't get it. Mel then tries to push it further and says to Tori, what do you think about the thing that he said about wife swapping? And basically he's offering you up on a platter to other men. Tori then admits, after being pushed, mind you, you know, that it did make her feel a bit sick. I felt like Mel was trying to get her to think for herself, because even at one point she did say something like, you know, well, you just seen it through Jack's lens. So I was like, can you not see what she's saying? She's trying to tell you, she's waving a big flag in your face without actually directly saying, this guy is a wrong'un. Okay? It was just like, damn, what the hell? Anyway, both of them stayed. No surprises there. John lets Jack know that his sense of humour ain't funny to other people, and he needs to be careful about what he's saying. But what I thought was so interesting was that all the experts giving me the energy that they can't stand him. And I'm like, yes, I can't stand him too. But out of all three of them, the energy was, we can't stand you. And looking at Tori like, are you okay, love? Like, are you okay over there? And I don't think she's okay. Because, you know, think about it. I mean, at the end, it ends with them, how they're the last couple. But we see Jack and Tori still sitting in that room afterwards. Cameras are clearly still rolling. They're still clearly mic'd up. And then you can hear Jack saying things like, oh, they were trying to turn you against me, but you didn't. And yeah, it's all a crock of shit, basically. And, you know, some days are going to be more fun than others. And this is meant to be her birthday, so she's sitting there saying, okay, well, happy birthday, me. It's giving very controlling, abusive relationship vibes. That is what it's giving. He is coming off as a controlling dickhead. This is what he's giving. That's the vibes he's giving to me. I don't know what you guys are seeing out there, whether you agree or disagree with me, but I am not here for this guy. I feel like he should be fired. He should come off the show. He doesn't have respect for women. Look at the way he's controlling Tori. Look at the way he spoke to Lauren. He didn't seem remorseful to me, because at the start of the show, he was very much, you know, he's happy that he said what he had to say. You know, he only gave an apology because he was called out. And I just don't buy it. I really don't buy it. But what do you guys think of the show? I had to have a look at socials and see what people were saying. So have a look at these tweets that were cracking me up. Anyway, guys, what do you think of the show? Do you think I'm being too harsh on Jack, or do you agree that he's a complete twat and he should get up and out of there? Tori, I don't know what to say about her, apart from she has blinkers on. Even the experts are trying to wake her ass up. Hopefully she will wake up. As for the rest of them, you know, I feel like they've all got a bit of potential. Tim, at this point, I feel like Timothy should just leave Lucinda alone and let her find somebody else, because if you're not going to step up, then step away. But anyway, guys, what do you think of the show? Let me know your thoughts below.
Yes, so thanks for watching that. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, share, and hit that notification bell so you know when I am uploading some more of people's business. So until then, my nosy people, stay blessed.